Readers,
reviewers,
countrymen,
welcome to the Brothers Gwynne Awards. Hello and welcome back to, for the very first time, to the channel. I am Will and this is my fellow presenter, my older brother Ed, and together we are the Brothers Gwynne, and today, if the title hasn't given it away, we are doing the Brothers Gwynne Book Awards for 2022. We may be a little bit behind some other booktubers, but we did our top 10 of 2022 and we thought that's not enough. We need to talk more about these books that we loved so much. But then we thought we can't bore people by just doing another top 10 video. Let's change it around a bit, and we thought let's do some awards. So Ed, shall we kick into it?
Let's kick into it. That's a new one, Will. That new one for the year 2023. Firstly, the award that we are kicking our awards off with is Best Cover. So for me, the best cover of the book I read last year, 2022, must be Conan the Adventurer by Robert E. Howard, but this is Frank Frazetta's cover for Conan the Adventurer. I mean, Frank Frazetta's paintings are just iconic for a reason, and they're beautiful, and they just encapsulate what fantasy is.
And for my best cover choice for 2022, it is The Prior by Anthony Ryan. The art is done by Jamie Jones, and I absolutely love this cover. This is book one of The Covenant of Steel, and I love how this cover, not only is it striking and engaging and really draws the eye, but it really enhances what is in the story. And I love how once you've read it, it kind of comes into play, kind of the themes mostly, how thematically the cover really resonates with the content within, because sometimes it's weird, a cover can actually be very different from the book, can't it? But in this case it's very true and honest, and as I said, striking, and that's what we love a cover to be. So yeah, so yours was The Coming of Conan and mine was The Prior.
And for the next award then, the next award is for Best Audiobook. We love to consume audiobooks over here on the Brothers Gwynne.
Yes,
so what better than to give an award out for the audiobooks that we absolutely love. So Will, what was your favourite audiobook?
My favourite audiobook, sorry to cut you off at the end there, Ed.
Mate, I'm used to it.
My favourite was All Creatures Great and Small by James Herriot. This has recently been made into TV shows.
I think it was TV shows for years and years.
Yeah, it was TV shows many years ago that our parents loved. But it's been made into another one, more modern take on it, and this is the autobiographical short stories by the vet James Herriot himself, and it is narrated by the main actor who is in the programme,
Nicholas
Ralph. And yeah, he plays James Herriot in the programme, so of course very fitting that he narrates the book, and he does it brilliantly. And this is a group of short stories that are heartwarming, hilarious, funny, but some serious undertones about friendship and belonging as well. And it's a love letter to the village Darrowby, the Yorkshire Dales, and the way of life. It's a beautiful book and a beautiful audiobook.
And my favourite audiobook of the year just really must be Priest of Crowns by Peter McLean, and it was narrated by David Morley Hale. It was an absolutely fantastic book. It was a wonderful culmination of the series War for the Rose Throne, and the narration was superb. I mean, this series, War for the Rose Throne, is essentially Peaky Blinders, but with a little bit of magic and fancy thrown in there for good measure. And it reads like it as well. It's just fantastic. It's really awesome. And I love the narration by David Morley Hale. He brings such a gritty tone to the series that really suits it.
Very nice, Ed. It's a great book as well. It just narrowly missed out on being my favourite audiobook. And now, next up, what do we have? Most hateable character in a book that we read in 2022.
See, this was hard because we hate a lot of characters.
We hate a lot of characters.
But then it was easy because some stand head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah.
So, Will, who was your most hateable character?
My most hateable character was in the book Dreaming the Eagle by Amanda Scott, and his name is Aminias. I may be pronouncing it a bit wrong, but I despised this man with my entire being. Yeah, he brought a bad side out to me. I was feeling rage, anger. Yeah. I think my face went purple as I was reading through these pages, so I had to be locked away on my own for a little while. But yeah, safe to say, You
sound like
him.
The Wolfman.
Well. Yeah, I wasn't quite turning into a werewolf.
And the most hateable character for me must be from the Wolf Den series by L.D. Harper. The character Felix here is a detestable man. He is the master of Amara, who is a sex slave in Pompeii in 1st century AD in Italy. And Felix is just a horrible person. Elodie Harper writes him so well because there are moments here where you almost sympathise with him. You find out so much more about him as a person, about his backstory, about his life, and he really does become a big part of one of these characters' lives. And then in this series, in this book and book 2, he does so many things that you just want to kill him. You want to reach into the pages. And he is a manipulator. He is an abuser as well. And for those reasons alone, you hate him. But there are so many personality traits that he has, and the things that he puts the characters through, and the way that he just shows no remorse whatsoever. It feels almost, feels very real, which is a little bit worrying, really, isn't it? But he is so hateable. And Eminios was my second choice, Will, so good choice there. But yeah, I think Felix just about trumps him for me.
Yeah, he's such a complex character. I love that. It's not just a simple antagonist, let's throw a villain into the mix. No. He's a complex character who has so much to him, and you sympathise for him, but you hate him so much at the same time. And so now let's get a bit more positive, and go on to our most lovable character. So Ed, you want to give yours first?
My most lovable character must be from Dreaming the Eagle as well. So you've given one award to Amanda Scott here. Here is another coming her way. And it must be Ban, the brother of Breka. And Ban it's a coming of age story, really. He is the second POV in the story. The first is Breka, and the second POV is Ban, and it is essentially a coming of age story of both of them and their relationship. And Ban is such a wonderful person. He has an affinity for animals, which immediately made me connect to him. He's a really sweet person as well. He's kind through and through, but he also has a lot of fire, such as does his sister, definitely. But yeah, I think Ban goes through such a traumatic character arc as well. You cannot help but feel sorry for him and love him for the person that he is as well. And he really goes through some tough times, and I just adore him. I wish he was my friend.
I do as well, Ed. And may I borrow that book? I may need it a little bit later.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Just for after the video, of course. After the video, of course. And next up, my most lovable character is from the Great Coat series by Sebastian de Castell. I've read the entirety of this whole quartet during 2022. And if you can't guess who it is, well, I'll just go ahead and say it. The character was Brasti, and he is an integral part of this trio at the core of the books, which are the bromance that this series has become famous for: Falchio, Kest, and Brasti. And Brasti is the one who he resorts to humour as a defence mechanism. Whenever literally anything bad happens or he's a bit upset, he resorts to insults and humour. And the other two, he really aggravates them at times, but he's so lovable, and he's one of those that I would just love to see and meet and chat to in real life.
Yeah, he brings a light comic relief, but also he has a lot of depth to him. Exactly. I think later, the more you go through the series, the more you actually should listen to Brasti and his ideas.
Really,
it's a bit worrying, seeing as he does shout in a fight. You should shout things like burning cat or something like that.
Flying away.
Yeah, exactly. He's really funny. But the next category, Will, is most impactful book. Which book of 2022 had the biggest impact upon you, and why?
I think, for me, it is Gates of Fire by Stephen Pressfield, and this is historical fiction standalone chronicler's tale, framing narrative about the survival of Thermopylae, the Battle of 300, the Spartans against a huge Persian army, a survivor telling the story. And this was impactful for a few ways, because it engages. I find that you can have an incredible book that you really enjoy, and it doesn't need to have certain elements. So it doesn't need to be the most thought-provoking book ever. It doesn't need something like that. But there's books that, when they are thought-provoking in that way, they have a lasting impact. Hence why I've chosen Gates of Fire for this award, because it is very thought-provoking for a number of reasons. It engages with that philosophy of sacrificing yourself for the greater good. Is it worth it? What ideals and goals are worth sacrificing yourself? So it's thought-provoking in that way, but also it brings up themes at the core of friendship, belonging, identity, and, as I said before, sacrifice. And they all are just explored brilliantly in this book in a natural and organic way that allows the story to unfold, and it doesn't feel jarring when it's a bit more thematically dependent. And as I said, it doesn't feel jarring at all. It feels organic. It plays into these people's lives as these themes affect them as individuals, but also collectively as well. And that is why Gates of Fire I've chosen as my most impactful book. And also, I cried at it, and it was an incredible story, which I think I chose as my third favourite read of 2022.
For me, I'm sure viewers of the channel can guess what the most impactful book for me was, but it was Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee by D. Brown, which is a non-fiction book about the relationship between Native Americans and white settlers during the 19th century, and also a little bit before as well. But this book had a big impact on me because it really opened my eyes to really how modern America is built and how and the foundations that it was built upon. This book really does show you a whole new side to people and to history that I really never knew about before, and I just had such sympathy for so many of these real people, because this is all true. These stories are true, which is even more harrowing, but it was a very impactful book upon me, and it's definitely made me want to go and read much more books covering this period, so I can find out and dive into as much of this literature as possible.
Very nice. It is one of those that I know it's my favourite phrase on the channel.
Yeah, I'm going to read
it at some point. But what do we have next up, Ed?
Biggest surprise.
Our biggest surprise. Do you mind if I kick this one off? So my biggest surprise I won't kick, that would be blasphemy. Yeah. My biggest surprise of 2022 was Babel, or Babel, however you say it, by R.F. Kuang. So I heard some great things. It's weird saying this was a surprise when it was one of the biggest releases of 2022, but through the premise I thought, this sounds interesting. Historical fantasy by R.F. Kuang, the writer of the Poppy War series, but I wasn't expecting to absolutely adore it. And on top of that, not only was it surprising in how enjoyable it was surprising in it really showed R.F. Kuang's craft as a writer amongst... It's one of the best written books, I think, showing authorial craft that I've ever read, because if you look at every element of storytelling in this book, from the characters' plot, world building, the magic system, how everything comes into play with the themes and the prose as well, it is really just absolutely brilliant. If you're an aspiring writer, I would read this. Look out for how R.F. Kuang builds tension, builds those character relationships, builds on those themes and motifs and ideas that really come into play and have such a huge impact. This just narrowly missed out on being my most impactful book of 2022. Because I was deeply affected whilst I was reading it, and it was just constantly on my mind. And you know, when a book is doing that, it is very, very good. Or at least very impactful at the least, and very well written, where it lingers on the mind for many a day and many a week. Because I finished this a few months ago now, and I still think about it regularly, seeing it sitting on my shelf, and I want to read it again. So yeah, that's Babel.
And for me, my biggest surprise was Dan Jones' Essex Dogs. Now, this is my biggest surprise because I was not expecting, just like Will, to love this book as much as I did. This has very quickly become one of my favourite historical fiction books, as well as my probably top 2 medieval historical fiction books that I've ever read. Dan Jones is a fantastic author. He writes lots and lots of non-fiction. He really knows his stuff. He knows his craft, how to write an engaging book. But this is his first novel that is a historical fiction. That is fiction, and it was so exciting. I absolutely adored it. It was so fun. It's been a long time since I had such a good time in reading a book, because it was so much fun. It was really enjoyable. The characters were great. Some of the characters were absolutely hilarious. Others really touched upon some really interesting themes. It is a medieval book, so it is focused on warfare, especially between England and France. Obviously, that's right up my street. But I was surprised that Dan Jones could craft such fantastic characters and such a wide range of characters as well, especially as he obviously hasn't written fiction before because of his non-fiction. So that's why this is my biggest surprise, but I absolutely loved it. I think it's a book that I would definitely recommend to lots and lots more people. I love meeting Dan Jones last year. It was such a laugh. He's such a great guy. He's absolutely hilarious. And we definitely enjoyed hanging out with him, didn't we? Going on his Facebook live stream, helping him sign 1,346 books, to be precise. But yeah, the best surprise of the year was definitely Essex Dogs.
And if you want to check out our deeper thoughts on the book, then go watch our review, because Ed gets dressed up as well, so it's pretty cool.
And I do fall over, I think.
And he does fall over.
Not intentionally.
And next up we have, you know what, let's get back to the characters, and we're going to be talking about our best supporting character in any book that we read in 2022. Ed, kick us off.
Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. Within this book, there are pages that have a character within them.
No way.
His name, I know. His name is Patroclus.
Who?
Patroclus?
Who?
Audio and Owl. His name is Patroclus, and he is crafted by Pat Barker in this book, and he is an absolutely magnificent character. This book is from the POV of Briseis, who's been captured, and she's on the beach at Troy, basically hanging out with Achilles and Patroclus and the rest of the Greek army.
Hanging out is one
hanging
word
out
for it,
is
isn't
probably
it?
a terrible word that I've used. Yeah, definitely not. But she is within the Greek camp during the Trojan War. And Patroclus is a fantastic character. He has such, again, a wide range of emotions. He really, really, his relationship with Achilles is just written so perfectly. In my opinion, this is what Song of Achilles should have been, because
Bold words, Ed.
I wasn't the biggest fan of Madeline Miller's first book of the Song of Achilles. I much preferred Circe, the way she wrote that, but I think the way that Pat Barker writes Achilles and Patroclus's relationship is just so well done. It really was full of emotion. It was full of heart as well. Achilles is really a despicable person. They all have
every single one of them
traits, don't they?
Complex,
but they are all complex human beings, and they all have their own. Yeah, they all have their own fortes, definitely. And Patroclus is also, he's a really caring person. I think he added so much to the story. Obviously, we know about the Trojan War. Is it a spoiler if I say what happens to him? Not really, because
but maybe
Patroclus does die. He is used within the Trojan War as kind of a springboard where Achilles is wrath.
Spoiled the Trojan War.
The 4,000-year-old book. 3,000, sorry. How dare I?
How dare you?
But Patroclus, he does die, and his death is used as a springboard for Achilles' wrath, really. But you really miss him when he's gone. You really do miss him as a character, and I just think he added so much, especially within the pages that he was actually in, because he obviously wasn't in the whole book, obviously, because he dies. Anyway, you go.
No, that was a low moment. No, to be fair, it wasn't, because he's in the majority. People think of Patroclus as a major, top 3 major character of the Trojan War. So don't beat yourself up about it, Ed.
Yeah, he was in it.
He was he was in
there.
It. Next up, I've got Gates of Fire out again, and what we're doing, best supporting character. That's it. Mine was Polynikes.
Really
Polynikes, and so he's kind of the golden warrior, the golden boy of the Spartans, isn't he?
He's a little git, isn't he?
Whoa! Let's not get into any of that.
Okay.
It'd be spoiler territory.
I think it's a git,
but subjective, Ed. Subjective. I mean, he does some
things. He's a great git, though.
He's a great one. But as I said, he's a golden warrior, the golden boy. He's a kind of young emerging warrior who. What are you laughing at? Who is just absolutely incredible at the core of this story. He comes he's in and out of the main plot, and he is exceptional. And I'm just going to ignore him. I can't go into the full depth of why he's such a brilliant supporting character, because spoiler territory, but just please take my word for it and read this book. Ed, why were you laughing so heavily there?
I actually don't know. I'm sorry. I just got the giggles.
Just got the giggles.
Is there anything
I said?
You did say gold quite a few times.
Right.
If that's what sets me off, then I have a really low humour bar.
To be fair, that's quite good to be brought to that much laughter.
Yeah, just
that easily. I'm just going to say the same word 3 or 4 times. But next up, Ed, what do we have?
The next
it's a great one, isn't it?
You can't see, can you?
No, my God.
We'll have our list below the camera. I know you're asking me.
I'm trying so hard.
See. William has 2 very bad eyes. I just have 1 bad eye. But the next category is one of our favourites.
Best animal.
Best animal. They got 4 legs.
It doesn't have to have 4 legs.
It doesn't actually. Mine doesn't.
So why would you say?
I don't know. What is your favourite
well, you know what?
animal?
No, I'm actually really. It's not got 4 legs. I'm intrigued.
No, I'm going to build it up a bit more. What is your favourite animal of 2022?
My favourite was from Dreaming the Eagle, and that is Hale. He's the best doggo you could ever have
in literature, because we have Nelly. Don't tell Nell.
Oh, but Hale, if I could meet Hale...
He does kill Romans.
Hale is amazing, and he's a hound who we see from a puppy, and he's an integral part of kind of the journey, the Bildungsroman of, who you mentioned earlier, Ban, one of the 2 perspectives of this book.
This is the historical fiction version of Corban and Storm.
That is a brilliant way to put it, and so that's all you need, really. That's all you need. And Hale... even though he just doesn't speak, just feels like such a well realised character. He brings so much to the story.
And it's Hale, isn't it? Not not Hale.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Yeah?
Hail.
That's Hale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I spelled it
just
for clarification.
Okay, and the next one for me. So the best animal of the year doesn't have 4 legs. It is Portia from Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. The wonderful spider who goes through many, many, many thousands of years of evolution.
Which
love
Portia?
all of them. They're all the same. I absolutely love the way that Adrian Tchaikovsky wrote the spider segments in Children of Time. They were by far just the most amazing parts. Definitely, they're one of the most exciting parts of a book that I've read all year. I absolutely love the way that she grew, literally and figuratively, and I love the way that her chapters reflected the way that evolution was portrayed in that series. So yeah, it was awesome, and I love to read from her perspective.
Absolutely brilliant. And if you've got arachnophobia, definitely read Children of Time.
Yeah, you will be cured because she's so cute.
Did you even mention that she's a spider?
Yeah, I said she's got 8 legs.
Okay, she's a spider. I think you did actually. I think you did.
I hope so.
I'm
Because if
pretty
I
sure you
didn't, I'm
did.
the worst booktuber.
Ever.
My favourite animal is Portia.
You should
She's got 8
retire
legs.
if you didn't.
Yeah. People think, what a
Got 8
weird
legs.
dog. Is
No,
that
I'm pretty certain.
that's not from Boudica as well, is it?
But I'm pretty certain you said spider.
And
so
the
you won't need to retire.
next category, I have a sneaky feeling, Will, that we actually have the same book
No
for this
way.
character. And it is Best Debut of 2022. Now, obviously, lots of these books that we've read haven't actually been released in 2022 because this is just the Brothers Gwynne Award. It's not the 2022 awards. But this book is the best debut of 2022. According to us, Will, what's your one?
Children of Gods and Fighting Men by
And my
Shauna
one
Lawless.
is Children of Gods and Fighting Men by Shauna Lawless.
Can I just add something?
Can I just add something?
Yeah, you can first.
Yeah, you can first. Because we have the same book.
Mirroring. Right.
Yeah.
And you did it in the same direction as well. Nice.
Thank you.
But it's not just best debut for 2022. It's best debut out of every single book. All the debuts we read in 2022. Because I read some debuts that weren't from 2022.
Wow.
So yeah.
I didn't take it as that, but my choice
Still
stays the same.
Yeah, Children of Gods and Fighting Men by Shauna Lawless.
Yeah.
It's historical fantasy at its finest. And another one that you can check out, our review, the Brothers Gwynne's Raw Thoughts.
Convenient.
How convenient. Our raw thoughts, as I think we did it about a day after we finished it. And so there you go. If you want to see our full thoughts and us ramble about a book that, spoiler alert, we both
loved.
absolutely loved, then go head on over there. But this is a brilliant book. Historical fantasy, as I said, set in late 10th century Ireland. We've got the Norse, we've got Irish mythology, we've got 2 leading female protagonists, and it's just an awesome amalgamation.
We've got Vikings, Irish mythology, and Cersei-ish machinations.
What more can you ask for? And so, yeah, that is the best debut of 2022. But now we've got the best release of 2022. So, Ed, do you want to kick us off?
L.D. Harper's book 2 of the Wolf Den series, which is The House with the Golden Door. This book had it all. I was really thinking, how can L.D. Harper top the Wolf Den? It ended on such a high note. It was awesome. It was flabbergasting, if that is a word. And The House with the Golden Door just took everything that made the Wolf Den amazing and ramped it up to 211. And it was just an exhilarating read. It is one of the most tense books I've read ever. The fact that there are no swords in this and Amara isn't a trained, sorceress really stressed me out because that's what I'm used to reading, that she can just kill anyone. She had to just fight people with her words, which really upsets me. It made me really tense because she was just at the will of all of these powerful men around her. It's
the lack
really
of agency,
how alone
isn't
it is. Exactly. There's no autonomy for her. And she's just a fantastic character. I love the way the characters are formed here. As I said earlier, Felix, this is where he becomes really evil. Not just evil, really evil.
Really evil.
And you hate him even more than you did in the Wolf Den. So many things happen here. This must be, I think, to me, the best release of 2022 because it was just such an exhilarating read. And I really cannot wait to read book 3 which is called The Temple of Fortuna, which will be released in November, which to me is very far away and it's just too far. I'd like to read it now, please. LD Harper,
that's
if you're watching this, please let us read it early.
That's why I've had to show a bit of discipline and delay reading book 2 to us a bit closer to the third and final one because I feel like I won't be able to.
Hey, I will just have to reread them.
Won't be able to go.
They're books that will stick with you. And honestly, if you like fiction, if you like non-fiction, if you like historical fiction, if you like fantasy, go check it out because that is a book. That's a series for absolutely everyone, I reckon.
Yeah, The Wolf Den missed out, I think, on 3 categories. It was my second choice, so just narrowly, so close.
Who's the bigger LD Harper?
Oh,
fan?
right, you are. But I crafted this because who introduced you to LED Harper?
Do you know her?
Well, LED Harper's works.
Yeah, you.
I take full
Or to
credit.
Dan Jones?
No, it was me.
Are you sure?
But then I think Dan Jones saying that he really enjoyed The Wolf Den cemented it.
Yeah.
I planted the seed. He provided
the water, the sustenance, the sunlight.
Photosynthesis.
Yeah. Let's get into this.
He was the sun. Next. Oh, no. My choice is Until the Last by Mike Shackle, the third and final instalment of the Last War trilogy. And it's just extraordinary.
If you dropped that on a foot, it would break.
It would snap.
You know the hand from the Addams Family?
The Thing, isn't it called?
Yeah.
The Thing?
It would kill the Thing. It's just called Thing.
Oh, Thing.
Get his name right.
Yeah. So wrong. But this is epic fantasy at its best. There are many grim, dark elements.
Try folding that one up, what you do with it.
I don't do that anymore. I am changed. 2023 is new, Will. But this is a brilliant conclusion to a series I absolutely adored. We Are the Dead is one of the best books I've ever read. A False Hope, the sequel, guess what? Is one of the best books I've ever read. And so, whilst I had absolute faith in Mike Shackle, at the same time I was really quite nervous to read this final installment because the ending, when you look back at the series, it can often be the most important part because if the ending isn't satisfying, it can often taint everything that came before it. But luckily, well, not luckily, Mike Shackle, he's got the ability of a brilliant writer. Yeah. Exactly.
I haven't read this yet.
Through skill and craft, he's created a brilliant finale that just cements this as one of my favourite series of all time.
And so we are moving on to the big guns, really, if anything, of the awards. And we are going to kick off the last few with Author of the Year. So, Will, who was your Author of the Year and why?
So my Author of the Year was George R. Martin. I know, original, right? But yes, I'd never read anything by George R. Martin before 2022. And then I think he's my second most read author of the year after Bernard Cornwell. And I read A Game of Thrones, A Clash of Kings, A Storm of Swords Part 1 and Part 2, and Fire and Blood. And wow, what an introduction to Westeros that was. Absolutely adored it. Every single one I loved. There are bits of Fire and Blood that I thought were a little bit dry, but there are sections that were absolutely fantastic as well. And then A Song of Ice and Fire, what a series. No wonder it has resonated and been a favourite of millions of people around the entire globe.
Yeah, for sure, Will. And my Author of the Year really must be Manda Scott. I read all of the Boudica.
I knew it.
What's 4 books called again? Tetralogy. Is it
Tetralogy?
Oh,
yes.
Tetralogy, and it was absolutely supreme. Papa Gwynne had been telling me to read the Boudica series for a long time. I was talking to him about what kind of book I would like to write, and he said, well, if you want, that sounds exactly like you should read the Boudica series, and, for sure, he was correct. Thank you, Will. For sure, he was correct. This series is breathtaking. It is so full of heart. It is obviously the story of Boudica. If you know the history, I'm not going to spoil it for you like I did. Obviously, Patroclus' death from the Trojan War. Sorry again.
Ed loves to give a good spoiler. He always does.
Don't bring up the spoilers I mentioned. I don't mean to.
I won't say them. Like he said to me, don't read the blurb on Dune because it tells you something that only happens halfway through and spoil half the story for me. It tells you, and then he told me
of a character death. But it does say on the blurb, to be fair. So I thought you'd read the blurb of Dune.
But then you said don't read
anyway,
it.
This is Manda Scott. This is Manda Scott's time. I love this series because it's so full of heart. It's so gripping. The characters feel so real, and it is such an epic series. It has the kind of epicness of Tolkien. I think of Middle Earth, 100%. But the cast is is small.
Yeah.
So you really know everyone through and through so well. You're so attached to these characters. The way that animals are used in this is fantastic. The way that dreams are used really gives it kind of a fantastical aspect. And that just grows with each book. And the way that characters are created, it feels like they're my best friends. If I was going to compare this series to a historical fiction series, I would say Bernard Cornwell's The Warlord Chronicles is that probably the only thing that comes almost close to this in terms of how much I enjoyed it, the emotions, the emotions that I carried through it, the camaraderie. It is a very modern book, but it feels so authentic as well, and that's what Amanda Scott does so well. Her prose is like Robin Hobb. If you read fantasy like Robin Hobb, her prose is equal to her in my opinion. She captures characters so well, captures emotions so well, and I really, really do believe that if more people tried this, it would be just absolutely huge. This series should be on the Bernard Cornwell level, or even higher, because they are beautiful books.
They really are.
The action is amazing, and it has every single thing you want in a series.
Yeah.
So Amanda Scott is my author of the year.
And I think our mission is going to be to try and spread the love, the Amanda Scott love.
Share the love.
Across BookTube, because I think we may have had a little bit of an influence on Library of Alessandro, because he said he will attempt to read the series in 2023.
And it's so amazing seeing people in the comments already saying they've read Dreaming the Eagle and they loved it. So, yeah, please look in the comments. I bet there'll be someone who says they enjoyed Dreaming the Eagle.
Hopefully. And now, next on to the next category, we have Best Fantasy Book of 2022. But if our favourite book of the year, which we'll get to, is a fantasy book, then we won't include that.
Or a historical fiction book, because we do have a category that is best historical fiction.
Exactly.
As well as we are the historical fantasy brothers.
Exactly.
Maybe that could be our new name.
Historical Fantasy Brothers.
The historical fantasy Brothers Gwynne.
It wouldn't be hard on the mouth at all. But Ed, do you want to give us your favourite fantasy read of 2022?
My favourite fantasy read of 2022 is Empire of the Vampire by J. Christoph.
Can I stop you there for a second?
Yes.
My favourite fantasy read of 2022 is Empire of the Vampire.
We're so similar.
Wow.
We loved this book so much. It is everything that fantasy should, can, and will be. J. Christoph sat down to write the most iconic book, and he took it line by line and thought, how can I make this line stand out on the pages?
But feel organic.
But feel organic at the same time. And he is... What a successful book in all meanings. It is really a massive hit with us especially, and so many other people for a reason. Empire of the Vampire really encapsulates what is amazing about fantasy. The imagination, the iconic character moments, and the emotional impact that it does have on you. The characters here are put through the ringer for sure. Gabriel de Leon is a beautiful character. He's absolutely fantastic. He's so well written, and I absolutely adored his character arcs. I loved the different timelines. It felt like the Mark Lawrence kind of style there with the different timelines. That just adds so much to storytelling. And if you can write timelines well, then it's amazing. It comes off so well.
Yeah, it really does. And Ed, you said it brilliantly, and this is a great story with a lot of twists and turns along the way, and so many elements that you feel you didn't expect, or at least I didn't anyway, personally. And they're introduced to the story in such an organic and natural way that, as you said, it feels iconic, but it's very powerful and moving at the same time.
And look how thick it is, and I'm really contemplating a reread very soon.
Yeah, you can just blitz through this. It's one of those that, even though it's a huge tome of a book, it's so easy to read. And so, another bonus. Another bonus to Empire of the Vampire. But next up, what do we have, Ed?
Best historical fiction of the year. Will, please tell me, what was the best historical fiction?
This is a book that it's not really been mentioned much, this video. And it's Dreaming the Eagle by Amanda Scott. I don't know if it's going to pass under the radar, but...
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. This is historical fiction. No, I'm not going to go into explaining it again. We've already said it about 4 times. I've talked about this loads. It was your favourite, your most lovable character. My favourite animal companion. Mm-hmm. You had it for another. I had it for another. And this is, I think, his 5th. Wow, we should have added an award for most popular book at the Brothers Gwynne Book Awards.
Could be more.
And yes, Dreaming the Eagle, absolutely brilliant. I don't want to bore you by talking about it even more, but you should read it. Read it, please, and let us know what you think of it.
And my historical fiction is by Lucia St. Clair Robson. It is Ride the Wind. This is the story of Cynthia Ann Parker. This is historical fiction set in the 19th century. A young white girl, is abducted by the Comanche tribe, the Native American band of the Comanche, and she is indoctrinated into their tribe, and she becomes such a huge part of it. And her story is real. Go check out S.C. Gwynne's book, Empire of the Summer Moon. You'll read all about Cynthia Ann Parker there, which is an amazing book, by the way. And this book, again, had so much heart. It was so immersive. Lucia St. Clair Robson really knew her stuff about the way that the Comanche lived and the way that they thought and their mythologies and all of that kind of stuff. She knew it through and through. And the character moments here is multi-POV. It covers so much ground in America along the Great Plains. And I absolutely adored it. The story of Cynthia Ann Parker is one of the most heartbreaking true stories to have ever happened. Definitely in the world, 100%. It is absolutely heartbreaking. It'll rip your heart out, and this book is no exception. It's labelled as a romance on Goodreads, but I don't think of it as a romance. There is a little bit of romance in there, but I mean, it's a romance in lots of books that we read. Yeah. But it just felt real. It felt real. It didn't
romantic element.
Exactly, a romantic element. And I love this book so much. So it is my favourite historical fiction of the year.
And now onto the final award. Of course, we have to say our book of the year. What was our favourite read of 2022? And if you watched our top 10 of 2022, then you may know the answer. But be prepared to hear us talk about the books we love even more. And so, Ed, what was your favourite book of 2022? I can't guess.
Yeah, Dreaming the Eagle, Amanda Scott. That's it.
And my favourite was A Clash of Kings by George R. R. Martin, the second instalment of A Song of Ice and Fire. This is the book where Tyrion, in my opinion, becomes one of the greatest characters of all time. I stand by it. I stand by it. He's an incredible character in all three books, but in The Clash of Kings is where he really shines and, as I said, hits that next level, in my opinion. And this is just a fantastic book. From beginning to end, I was gripped and hooked. And I think my favourite section of the Song of Ice and Fire books I've read so far is the latter third of Storm of Swords, which was breakneck pace, betrayal after betrayal, stab, stab, stab,
you
twist
like that?
After twist. I love that. I love that stuff. I'm a dark reader. I don't read happy books. Don't read happy books. No. Who wants that? But anyway, Clash of Kings, it just had a different element about it, which just utterly hooked me. And it was the perfect read for the perfect time. And so, yeah, that's why Clash of Kings is my favourite read of 2022.
Thank you so much for watching our video, the Brothers Gwynne 2022 Awards. It was so much fun writing these awards, finding the books to fit them. It was also painful as well because we wish we could fit more books on there. You know us, we like to break the rules. But hey-ho, we absolutely love this video. If you're an author and you won an award here, we will be sending you a pen. So if you like pens, which obviously we're sure the pen is mightier than the sword, then please accept it. You know, a picture will be popping up here, or not,
or somewhere on the screen,
or it might not. Who knows? I mean, we're not very good editors. We might not be able to do it, but you will receive a pen if you want to. We'll send you a message. But thank you everyone for watching. Please let us know in the comments below what were your awards of the year. Any awards that are very individual to you, maybe one that best book that didn't have swords in, perhaps. What was your favourite book of the year?
And also, I just want to say thank you. We put a community post out a little while ago saying what awards would you like to see on here. Yeah. So quite a few of these categories came directly from that. So again, thank you so much for putting those ideas down. We really appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Truth and Courage, the Brothers Gwynne.
Truth and Courage. Happy reading. Welcome to 2023. We can't wait to do the awards again in December. We'll do it earlier next time. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Maybe. Truth and Courage, the Brothers Gwynne.